Salvete Discipuli. We are focusing on Latin Level 2, Chapter 1. And I know that this course is very challenging for you because it starts right off with a subjunctive. So it's a little more challenging than those of you who were with me last year with the Oxford Latin program. Much more is covered. Okay, we have our first page here, and it's a translation that you've been doing. Most of you have been doing very well. I'm very pleased with that. On the island of Britain here, Insula Britannia, just follow my cursor, or the island of Britain, I should say, is separated from Europe by the sea. It has, from the south, that's what meridie means, the south there, from the south, it has Gallium Bellicum, South Belgium. From its back, that's what that tergo means. From its back, it's the huge ocean, Oceanum Infinitum. There's a plentiful amount, if you like, or it abounds with trees and fruit and animals. Okay. Also, dolphins and piscibus fish. Piscibus, it abounds in fish. And also there are delphines et balaenae, dolphins and whales. They're captured there. Capiuntur. Pearls are, ostriae. Let's see what that's going to be here. Oysters, I'm sorry. Oysters are also found there. I have the tail end of a summer cold. Okay. Oysters are also found there, in which there are beautiful pearls. Margarita is not a drink necessarily, it's a pearl in Latin. Pulchri margaritae. The land, multa metalla gignet. Okay. The earth produces many metals, multa metalla. And we've got here, they name the metals here, bronze, iron, lead, and silver, argentum. The island lies, if you like, in the northern part of the world. The island lies right here, Yaket, in the northern part. Septentrionale is northern, and in the summer, aestate, an ablative of time there, it has bright nights, lucidas noctes, it has bright nights. Thus, in the middle of the night, medio noctis, at that time in the middle of the night, if you like, people do not know, homines are people, for sure, procerto, they do not know for sure, if you like, that it's night, esse noctem. Okay, they don't realize it's night. The inhabitants of Britain were Britons, by which quibus, the name of the island is given. So it's called Britain. Afterwards, a tribe of Picts came from Scythia. Waynet came from Scythia on the ocean with ships to the island Ireland. Hibernia means Ireland, which is situated near Britain. The Picts decravit, if you like, they decided to live, where are we here? The Picts decided to live on that island in Insula, on that island. They decided that, but the Scots, who at that time were living in Ireland, said to them, this island is small, and we and you will not be able to be here, to tenere, to have it. Excuse me. But we will give you good advice. we know, see if I can bring this down a little here, and I didn't want it to come that far. We know ad ortum. Okay. Excuse me. You should sail to that island, or excuse me, we know that to the east, not far from our island, here we are, we know to the east, ortum, that would be where the sun comes up, not far from our island here, cuyus litera diebus lucidus aspicere somos. Okay. Far from, there is another one whose shores we are accustomed to see on clear days. Clear days are diebus lucidus, whose shores, litera, we are accustomed to see on clear days. You need to sail to that island and occupy it at eam occupatus. Okay, therefore the Picts occupied the northern parts of Britain because the Britons lived to the south, so they still do. The Scots are up there today. The Picts who didn't have wives, quiexores, none, excuse me again, my summer cold. You'll be hearing that some more during this broadcast. They looked for wives for the Scots. And the Scots replied this way: you will be given wives, or wives will be given to you, but you need to promise, promittere, that you, here you have an indirect statement, that you will have kings, or not kings, but you will have queens. And this custom even remains so today among them, apud eius and hodieus today. Here's your vocabulary for this reading down below here, and you need to study that vocabulary. And here's the comprehension questions, which all of you did very well on. I'm not going to dwell on those for that reason. Language fact 1, we have these language facts all through each chapter. First conjugation verbs, present, active, and passive subjunctive. They don't waste any time getting into the subjunctive. Okay, here's how you form. It says in this chapter you'll notice 2 forms which belong to verbs. We already know. Okay, they give advice ad eum insulam navigatis. The E there makes that subjunctive, and so does the E here. These are first conjugation verbs, and you change the A in the first indicative to E. You should sail to that island, and you should occupy it. So the subjunctive is the mood of condition, hypothetical. The forms, and it says that they're already plural and they're present subjunctive, navigatus and occupatus. And it tells you how they're formed here. You just put E's where there were A's. And you see the E's here for the first conjugation. Let me come down here. And the passive, they're going to do active and passive. Sorry again for that coughing. We're going to have aris tur, mormonientur, the passive personal endings. And so that's the first conjugation, active and passive. Okay, and there's many ways to translate this, and it says you'll learn about it in the next section. So here's exercise 1, which a lot of you did very well on. And you just change these verbs. These are all first conjugation verbs. Just change the A's to E's. E, 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 E. Change that O to E. Simple, isn't it? Vocabulary to learn. You can make flashcards out of these. Okay. And here's exercise 2. Find the English derivatives based on the vocabulary to learn the following sentences. I think we glossed over this because derivatives right now is not where we want to focus. There's the map of England, Ireland. Caledonia is the Latin word for Scotland. And Hibernia is the Latin word for Ireland. And this is all Britannia, but it's sectioned off into Anglia. And there's London down there. Here's exercise 3. Identify the following forms as present subjunctive, present indicative, or future indicative. One would be the third conjugation for the future. For example, ambulet, ardet, and aget. So that would be present subjunctive, present indicative, and future indicative there. So it wants you to go through those like that and identify the tenses. And if you notice what conjugation the verb is in, this one here would be subjunctive. This one here would be subjunctive. I'm just pointing to first conjugation verbs now. Subjunctive, subjunctive here, putes. Subjunctive, rogent. Number 6, subjunctive. And number 7, subjunctive for the second one. So those are first conjugation. Then the present indicative. Number 1 be dilemus, and so on. You really need to identify the conjugation of the verb, and you've got the answer here. Okay. And here's the language fact. These are important because they explain what the book is trying to teach you in each chapter. And it gives you the difference between the subjunctive mood and the indicative mood. What you've had so far is indicative. And the indicative is related to reality, facts, real. Here you have, I read a book, read the book. So that's indicative, that's imperative. And the subjunctive shows action is possible. And here's some examples here, and there's various translations for these. And this is a regular indicative. You sail, sail, imperative. You should sail. You might sail. So that's should or would, okay, in English. Coming down here. So right now they're focusing on translations. And here's the volative or optative subjunctive, which sounds sort of fancy. Let me bring this up here a little bit more. And again, it's should or may, because volative means desirable, of something you should desire to do. Let us sail to the island navigamus. Okay, so these are just different kinds of translations. The subjunctive in Latin is tricky, and the Romans love to use it much more than we do. The optative subject is a wish, okay, and sometimes it's accompanied by utinam, if only, or would that. Would that the gods love us. If only the gods may love us. Okay, may, should, would, all that. Okay, and you come down here. And here's language fact number 4. The present subjunctive of sum and possum. You have, in the indicative, excuse me, you have sum ss. Let's see if a cough drop will help me here. And I did want to, I know I have a cold, but I did want to make these screencasts so that some of you who are still confused by a lot of this stuff going on in chapter 1 here and following can feel more comfortable. So sum ss, sum ss to sunt changes to sim, sis, sit, simus, si to sint. That's the present subjunctive of sum. It doesn't have a passive. And here's a compound of sum, possum. Possim, possis, possit. Possimus, possitus, possent. Okay, the verb to be able. And here's exercises of translate into English. And I think some of you have done this. And they give an example. Let us not. Nay is the negative for the subjunctive. Let us not wait for a long time. This is about telling a story. May you tell a story. Don't. This is a imperative here. Don't hide afar, ocultare. Noli means don't. Let not the northern tribes occupy the land. Let not. Let's not fight. Ponemus. Would that the young man whom I love would love me now or today. Let us not be poor. Yeah, I remember a lot of you did this. Would that we were able to find many fish today. May you tell me a story. Let not the enemy occupy our land. You're doing this in the let not, may not, rather than a declarative sentence here. Let us fight with all our strength. Would that the woman whom I love may love me. Let us not be miserable. Okay, so there's some translations there. I'm not going to be too strict on grading that because you have to sort of get used to that. And 5, it translated into Latin using various types of subjunctive you've learned. And this is probably something I'm not going to focus on 5 here because it's translating from English to Latin, and we're more focused on Latin to English. And it says, give the negative of the following sentences, and then translate. For example, noli te nunc ambulare, do not walk now. There's the translation. You should not walk, may not walk now. Okay, so you're going to put noli te there. All right. And exercise 7. If you have any confusion, email me, and I'll help you out there in the email. Then there's some of you who catch right onto this. Read the following conversation. They translate the English parts into Latin, the Latin parts into English. Okay. Who are you? What are you seeking in our land? That would be going into Latin. And there are some exercises we're going to skip because they're not really relevant to what we're doing with the Latin, or not very relevant. And again, this is that you're translating Latin to English and English to Latin, depending on what they're saying there. And we may or may not do that exercise. Okay, we're on chapter 2 right now. And this is something you can do on your own here. We're not going to focus on the family of Atticus, but they do give this as additional work there. Okay, it's sort of like the translation and then those comprehension questions. Okay, folks, that looks like it's about the end of the chapter 2, and I'm going to wind it up here. Again, if you have any questions about what we're talking about here, you don't understand, don't be shy, email me, but tell me specifically what it is, what exercise and what number that you don't understand. That's if we're doing it. We're not going to be doing all of these exercises. And the reason for that is because some of the exercises are not really necessary for what you need to do in each chapter. Okay? Some of these things, if you tried to do them all, you'd be here for the rest of the year doing chapter 2. Okay, I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you with chapter 2.